Hello, welcome to another set Musings. So we're up to the last set that was part of the 2 sets per block paradigm. For the next episode we're going to be on to Dominaria, and then we move over to however you want to think about it, like the no block sets, I suppose you could call it. And also as part of that, a return to core sets. I think they were calling it the 3-in-1 model. I think that was the idea. So, yeah. Rivals of Ixalan, which was the second set of the Ixalan block, into Dominaria, which was not part of a block. And then moving forward there, from the core set 2019, we then have the 3-in-1 model, I believe, as they were calling it. So this set, as you can see, 196 cards in the boosters. Again, 205 cards overall. So there's 9 extra cards from the Planeswalker decks, only available in the Planeswalker decks. What sort of themes and mechanics are we looking out for? Well, we've got tribal, we've got double-faced cards, we've got treasure tokens, we've got City's Blessing. Keywords abilities, we have Transform, we have Ascend, Enrage, Explore and Raid. So you can see some of those have bridged over from the previous set. And I say this every time, but you'll notice that obviously artwork wise, very much the look of it is tied to the themes of the set. So tribally, we have dinosaurs, we have, I nearly said Vikings there, dinosaurs, vampires, that would be funny. Dinosaurs versus Vikings. Dinosaurs, vampires, merfolk, and pirates. No ninjas though. Well, not that I remember. We'll come on to a moment, and you probably spotted some of the reprints with set themed artwork. So we move into the multicolours here, and again you may notice a number of different things here. We've got some legendaries that are multicoloured. We've got the ever-present draft indicators, draft archetypes, whatever you want to call them. And you probably notice the symbol for the flip card. And they flip through the transform keyword ability. There's some nice non-basic lands, and we've actually got some basic land artwork. And then down the bottom here you can see here's our cards that were included in the Planeswalker deck. This time we've got 9 instead of 10. But you'll also notice this business with the, I tend to call it namesake cards. So either they mention it in the title of the card, in the name of the card, and or they might mention the card in here. These decks had some sort of card that was able to tutor very specifically the card. Interesting, it looks like we've only got one of the tap lands, if I'm right on that. We'll see why that is when we get to the end of this episode, when we go through the supplemental product properly. So, yeah, just been through this. This is the additional 9 isolated. They were above 196, so that's the easy way to spot them. If you have a number above the set number, then in this particular set it's the Planeswalker deck cards. 22 cards are reprints from the set, or in the set, and then reprints from earlier sets. You could probably notice if you're familiar with the original cards which ones have new artwork, if not possibly all of them. Which means we have 178 cards in the set, and again remember this is the set in total now. All of this stuff is set in total, so it includes both the booster stuff and the Planeswalker decks for everything I'm looking at. 178 cards that weren't reprints at that time. So let's slice this through the various number of colours. I like to do that. So we've 8 cards that are completely colourless. I always screen out land here when I'm doing this. And you can see that they're all artefacts of some description. Doesn't appear to be a Eldrazi creeping in here. It's not, well, I don't know if there was an Eldrazi behind the scenes, or Nicol Bolas behind the scenes. Well, that would be those wouldn't be colourless cards. There were no cards where the casting cost, you could use mana of any colour, but it had a coloured activation cost. None of those. So we've got 157 mono-coloured cards where they're totally mono-coloured. There's no additional colours in the casting cost. There's no other colour in any activation costs in here. So that's, yeah, 157 cards. So pretty large proportion of the set is totally mono-coloured. Again, nothing strange going on here in terms of, the casting cost is a single colour, and then the colour identity is not a single colour. It's like, say, multiple colours. So no cards like that. There were 24 cards which were 2 colour. And obviously the high number there, part of it is due to the presence of those sort of 2 colour draft indicators. So if they are for all the combinations of 2 colours, and we'll see whether that's the case, because in the past we've seen them not include necessarily every one, just because of the way the tribal aspect sort of broke down. Could be potentially 10 of the 24. And then there is only one card where there's more than 2 colours, which is Zakama Primal Calamity, which is a 3 colour legendary creature Elder Dinosaur. And each of the 3 colours are also included in specific activation costs for abilities on this. Notice as well here, I don't always flag this up, but it's always interesting when the abilities, you don't have to tap the card. And so with this as well, you can invest as, if you've got spare mana in the appropriate colours, then yeah, go invest away. So 27 creature cards in white, and obviously I do this so I can just get a rough feel for what tribes are sharing the same colours. So we've got vampires in white still, Got some humans, dinosaurs. But in terms of the creature types that were specifically represented in the set, or there was a high proportion of, clearly in white, it's dinosaurs and vampires. For white cards that share a colour, another colour, we've got a bit of a mixed bag here. We've got a Sphinx, a Griffin, Human Druid, Dinosaur, Vampire Knight, another Vampire Knight, Dinosaur, yep. So dinosaurs and vampires still heavily featured for the two colour ones. In blue, well, as we've seen in the previous set, we've got pirates here, we've got merfolk. Humans seem to be across several colours. We've also got dinosaur in blue. And then you see other types creeping in alongside. So we've got siren pirates, merfolk wizards, human pirates. And then we get down to the cards that share blue in their casting cost. Sphinxes, griffins, pirates, more pirates, and merfolk. In black, we've got an orc pirate, so see, pirates, vampires, there's a horse. So pirates and vampires. Well, there's a harpy as well. The odd beast horror. And you'll notice here we seem to have a number of these elder dinosaurs, which I'm sure we'll see, or we'll come back to when we slice in different ways. Yep, so black vampires and pirates, a thing. We can see that also in the two colour cards. Some elementals kicking around here. You know, I'm a big fan of elementals. And in red, looks like pirates and dinosaurs. Oh, there's a phoenix. And more humans as well cropping up. Particularly alongside other types like shamans, pirates. And in the two colours we've got pirates, dinosaurs, a shapeshifter pirate. And then in green, look at the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs and merfolk. And yeah, you're seeing that reflected when we get down to the two colour stuff. Big spells. So 7 large spells, of which 4 are these elder. I nearly said elder dragons. I meant to say elder dinosaur. Now, just refocusing specifically on the 4 types of creatures. So there's 28 pirates in the set, and you can see blue, black, red, and then the various 2 colour combinations. There's 32 dinosaurs in the set, so white, but this time around we've got sort of white, 1 blue, 1 black, red and green, and then obviously some combinations down there. Now it's interesting because you can see as I sort of scroll up and down here, predominantly dinosaurs are in white, red and green, but we do have a single blue and a black, which you probably guessed already is part of a cycle, which we'll see in a moment. We've got 17 merfolk in blue and green, and then a couple green, blue, 2 colours there. And then finally vampires, white and black. And again, a couple of 2 colours there. And then we'll 20 of those. 7 double face cards this time around. And looking at these, you can see we've got some legendary enchantments. We've got a couple of artifacts, one of which is an artifact creature, and one of the legendary enchantments is actually an aura. So let's flip these and see what they flip to. It's probably like the previous set where, yeah, they're all legendary lands. We've got 8 cards which reference treasure somewhere in the rules text. You know, creating those treasure tokens. We've got 23 cards that include references to the city. Now, that's, you can see here, I would say that's predominantly through this ascend mechanic. So if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. So we'll try and make a mental note of that 23 when we come to actually look at ascend properly. But I suspect all of these mention the city's blessing as part of that ascend mechanic. Sorry, ascend keyword ability word. Yeah, looks like that's the case. Oh, that'll be confirmed in a moment. So 18 cards that reference +1/+1 counters in some form. And you can see for some of these that's part of Explore. It's part of Raid. But we'll be looking at both Explore and Raid in a moment. But it just gives you some idea of the coverage of +1/+1 counters in the set, so 18 cards. 26 cards reference life in some capacity. And with vampires being present in the set, there's no surprise there. You often get a lot of lifelink and some sort of life exchange, which doesn't necessarily use lifelink, but does, to all intents and purposes, the same thing. So that's pretty well represented in the set. 26 of those cards reference life in some way. Now it could be like caring about life, so not just life exchange, but just caring about life generally. Life as a resource. We've got just 4 Explore cards. So with Explore, you reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, then put the card back or put it into your graveyard. You can see that's the same for most of these, except this one has then repeat this process. But you can see there's consistent templating there. There's not too much variation. In Rage, so within Rage, this is another carryover keyword ability word. So with this, you can see there is quite a difference here. The commonality is when the creature is dealt damage, then it becomes enraged, and you can see there's a variety of different things that happen. You can see in some cases it's +1/+1 counters, some cases it's causing things to sacrifice, other cases it's tokens, other cases it's damage and life and so on. So what triggers it is the same, the fact that it's been dealt damage, but what you get back is different. Then we have Raid. I didn't cover that already, did I? Nope. Raid. So there's 5 Raid cards. And the commonality here is you can see there's this attack with a creature clause. and then that's wrapped up with some other stuff. So this one, if you attack with a creature this turn, you may pay blue rather than pay its spell's mana cost. So when this enters the battlefield, if you attack with a creature this turn, then you may return. So some of these have a couple of layers to them in terms of the triggering. This one affects cost. This one is counters. This one is a copy of the creature on the battlefield. And we have Ascend. So 23 cards. So yeah, the same amount of cards that mention the city are also Ascend cards, which mean it's because of the Ascend keyword ability here. So if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. And what does that incur? Well, each of the cards here, you can see, then reference or check to see if you have the city's blessing, and then you get something. So, you know, when you play this card, it will check to see if you control 10 or more permanents, and you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. So if you don't already have the city's blessing, you get it, and then additionally on the card you get a benefit. Now, of course, you could play this card, and if you don't have 10 or more permanents, then you're not going to get the city's blessing, so therefore this won't trigger. And you can see again there's a variety of things that trigger in response, however you want to best word. I'm not sure what the word best wording for that is, but trigger as a result of you having the city's blessing. And they're all slightly worded differently, and there might be additional circumstances under which, you know, that benefit could happen. 7 transform cards. So yeah, transform is a feature of these flip cards. I suppose what I'm getting at is there's no if you have transform cards in the set, which you sometimes might see. So transform is directly mapped when it's mentioned to these flip cards, these double face cards. Moving on to the cycles. So I don't know what they're going to do here generally, just thinking ahead. Yeah, well, actually I do know because of remembering the preparation I did. I normally prepare these a week before, so sometimes I forget what's coming up. But if you remember from the previous set, there were sort of certain holes in the cycles because there were only 4 tribes, and that had a impact in some instances on the cycles. This particular cycle doesn't. So this is just 5 mythic rare creatures in the set. There's a cycle, so there's a cycle of 5 mythic rare creatures, and you can see, you know, well, 2 of them have Ascend. 2 have Ascend, 2 have Enrage, and 1, doesn't have either of those, but they all have some ability attached to them one way or another, either keyworded or not. So here's one with just 4 in it. So this is a cycle of 4 runners. So there's a vampire, a pirate. This one, which is a human soldier, it's actually tied to the dinosaurs, and this one is a merfolk scout. It's, what's key about these, apart from the fact they're uncommon creatures, is that the tribal reference, if you like, is contained in the rules text. And so as each one of these enters the battlefield, there's an ETB that triggers that will tutor a creature of the respective type to the top of your library, and a triggered ability whenever a creature of that type enters the battlefield under your control. We've got a cycle of tribal revelers, I believe they're called. Again, you can notice there's only 4, so 4 uncommon spells that are undercosted but require the caster to reveal a card of a given tribe's creature type from their hand, or pay some amount of colourless mana as an additional cost. So in this one, we're missing the white card. In the previous one, we were missing the blue card. So again here, and it's interesting here because we've got 3 creatures and a sorcery. So with these, the creature types map directly to the type that's referenced down here in the rules text. On this one, because it's a sorcery and there's no like tribal sorceries, it's not like you know, way back in Magic's history where they would sometimes have a tribal sorcery or tribal instant, or, you know, non-creature tribal spells, I suppose is a better way of describing it. But this simply references the dinosaur down here. So this is all about revealing a dinosaur. So they're undercosted, but the downside is you have to, you know, show you have a dinosaur card in your hands. Obviously you have to have a dinosaur card or a pirate card or vampire card or merfolk card for the particular card. If not, then I suppose what's happening is you're paying the fully costed cost for the spell. Costed cost. There's a cycle of elder dinosaurs. Now you'll notice that they all have the word primal somewhere in here. There's also a 6th elder dinosaur, which is thematically related to the cycle, but the 5 monocolour ones are the part of the cycle, and they're all elder dinosaurs. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time that the term elder had been used outside of the elder dragons. So we now have elder dinosaur Highlander, I suppose. There were some interesting tribal commons, 10 commons referencing their 2 tribes. So we're sort of doubling up here. So you can see, so the white ones we got vampires and dinosaurs, the blue one merfolk and pirates, the black one pirates and vampires, the red ones dinosaurs and pirates, and the blue, I say blue one, I meant green one, sorry. The green ones merfolk and dinosaurs. So yeah, they all reference a particular tribe in some way at common. Okay, the draft archetypes. So I've got all 10 here. I haven't split them into allied and enemy, but as you know, so allied colours are where the casting mana symbols are side by side on the colour pie, and the enemy ones are where they're, you know, effectively one away, one step away. Or I suppose 2 steps away, depending on how they have a colour in between them, I suppose is a more correct way of saying that. So you've got here, what we've got here was probably a bad one to show you. In fact, I mean, yeah, so here's the, I got that around the wrong way, or selected the wrong one. Here we have the allied, here we have the enemies. So there's the 5 allied colours, there's the 5 enemy colours. And they represent a 2-coloured draft archetype. Now, if you can remember, in the previous set, they didn't include all 10. I believe there were only 8. But this time round, they have gone for the full 10. So a cycle of legendary transforming enemy coloured enchantments, as I think I pointed out earlier. One of these is an aura, and as we've already seen, they go into legendary lands. And then we have these enemy coloured tap lands, so 5 uncommon dual lands that enter the battlefield tapped. This cycle was originally printed in Shadows over Innistrad. And I have said this on numerous occasions, these were cropping up all over the place because they were included in the deck builders toolkits. They became a pretty common way of fixing mana in sets. And so started to really appear a lot from Shadows over Innistrad onwards. Sort of all through this period, and then to some degree, did tend to crop up in Commander product more than sets. And also, as we've seen, they were cropping up in the Planeswalker decks as well. Let me see if I can... So we've got Cinder Barons, which is a black-red one. Because you can see these are all enemy colours, whereas the Cinder Barons is allied colours. Just to make this a bit easier, because there were so many pairs, I sort of bring it up in the MTG wiki. It can be a bit problematic using this because there's so many ads here, but I just wanted to go through these because these are always difficult to search for. So we've got mirrored pairs, Legion Lieutenant, Merfolk Mistbinder, so they're uncommon lords, each of which is 2/2 for 2 mana of the tribe's colours and gives other creatures of that tribe you control +1/+1. We've got Kamina's Awakening and Vona's Hunger, random creature spells with Ascend that each represent a villainous figure in the story gaining momentary control over or Azka. We've got these mirrored pairs of Triumph, so common instance to give a creature +2/+2 or -2/-2 respectively and gain you 2 life. Then we have Sea Red and Curious Obsession. So these are uncommon auras that enchant creatures, give a power and toughness boost and sacrifice themselves if you don't attack with a creature this turn. We've got these two, which are common creatures outside the dinosaur colours with anti-dinosaur abilities. Then we've got Pride of Conquerors and Golden Demise. So ascend uncommon spells depicting events that never occurred in the story. The Legion of Dusk in Ozaka and Vraska's subsequent sun-powered massacre of them. That have mirrored effects when ascended. +2/+2 to your team or -2/-2 to theirs. Whoops. And then Stormfleet, Swashbuckler. Oh dear, my mouse is being naughty. Stormfleet, Swashbuckler, and Slippery Scoundrel. 2 uncommon 2/2 human pirate creatures with Ascend that gain powerful keywords. So, 15 mythics in the set. And you can see a number of those are dinosaurs. Although there's only one elder dinosaur at Mythic. I say a number. Actually, I misspoke. There was 2. 3, actually. 3. 2, no 3. It's all gone very Monty Python. Yeah. You can see all the planeswalkers are here. Notice now the presence of the term legendary planeswalker on the card. I'm trying to remember when that actually started. Yeah. So they did 5 pieces of artwork, 1 for each colour of mana. All the same artist. Very nice, actually. "15 cards that were non-basic lands, and you can see the ones clearly here down the bottom. We've got these top ones are non-basic lands because of the fact they're actually afforded that from being legendary lands on the flip side. So the rest of them down here, oops, forgot that one, are those tap lands, the enemy coloured ones, plus that allied colour one, which was included, which is up here, which is included as in being in the Planeswalker deck, or one of the Planeswalker decks, and then a couple of other of non-basic lands, including an Evolving Wilds with snazzy new artwork. 4 Planeswalker cards. Now here it's interesting in this set. What you'll notice is, whereas before, what would often happen with this, with the presence of the Planeswalker deck, is you'd get the Planeswalker deck, Planeswalker, and then the set Planeswalker, and they'd be the same character, but the cards would be different. Here that's not the case. We've got Angrath in the 2 versions. So Planeswalker deck versions, booster set version. And then here we've got a Planeswalker deck for Vraska, but there's no booster Vraska. There is a Hootley. I always pronounced that wrong. Hootley, Huartley, however you say it. Yeah. So yeah, interesting. "11 legendary cards, of which you can see a number of those are the elder dinosaurs. Remaining ones are legendary creatures. It's got a Sphinx, a vampire, merfolk. There's no... Interesting that there's no legendary creature pirate. And then a couple of artifacts. One of which is a transform. And of course the other thing is they weren't legendary creatures, but they're legendary lands on the other side. And 5 of those legendary enchantments. So, 118 creatures in the set. "12 enchantments." And you can see down the bottom here we've got those flip ones, those transform ones. So we're missing one because one of them was an aura enchantment. There's 9 auras. We had 3 artifacts. Sorry, 3 artifact creatures, one of which was transform. We have 2 pieces of equipment in the set, so not a ton of equipment. That did surprise me a little bit. I thought they might play up some of the piratiness of the set a little bit with a bit more equipment. Then we've got 5 just regular artifacts, although saying that 2 of them are legendary artifacts. Both are mythic. There's our reprint of our Traveller's Amulet. "20 instants." So what are we seeing here? Well, you can see a number of these are pretty straightforward, not dissimilar to the things you might see with the usual instance in white, starting off here with white. Things that care about power and toughness in terms of exiling and destroying them, things that will only destroy target attacking or blocking creatures. This one's interesting. We've got the +2/+2 and the life gain because that was the theme. And that might be the case. In the set there was a life gain theme, there was a +2/+2 theme, a sort of +1/+1 as well going on. And those sort of things you see on non-creature spells anyway. So it might be, while it's not so noticeable that we're seeing set themes stapled on that are above what we would normally see, if that makes sense. But we are seeing things like Ascend here, and Raid in blue, Raid and Ascend. Here's our counter spells. So, and I suppose that's particularly important because some of these things they've stapled on had additional conditions to them as well. But they do seem to be stapling life onto some of these instants. So we have like a -2/-2 depletion spell for 1 and a black with life gain as well. Yeah, power seems to be a thing as well on some of these. Moving into red, instant speed, damage, some modal stuff. Bit of card draw there, or replacement. Artifact destruction. Naturalize was in the set, Plummet was in the set, and +1/+1 with draw a card, so pretty small pump spell. Interesting to see what happens in green at sorcery speed then. There's a modal spell, sorcery speed modal spell, more sort of caring about power. Okay. What's that sort of silence type effect, I suppose? For instance, in sorceries. Yeah, there's Probably we're going to see some of those cards that care about particular tribes. Yeah, merfolk, vampire. Vampires are referenced here. Some bounce in blue. Discard. So hand disruption in black. Sorcery speed. Life drain. There's our sorcery speed in black. Creature destruction. There's another modal spell in black. We've got recover. It's Vraska's Scorn. So some of these obviously are going to be from the Planeswalker set, Planeswalker decks. Red. So Mutiny. Target creature opponent controls deals damage equal to that power to another target creature that player controls. And again, there are cards that do similar things. Oh. So is there no... That's interesting. I suppose you've got some... Yeah. It does put +1/+1 counters on it. There's our fight. We got a black-red damage spell. Yeah, this is the one from the Planeswalker deck. Interesting. Yeah, I think we've seen most of what we need to see in terms of the set as a whole. Yeah, another one I'm really looking forward to the artwork episode. It's always a bit problematic because I try to, you know, a lot of the time I probably want to just go through every card I've got, but I have to be pretty selective in there. But some sets I just look at it and there's just so much stuff that I do want to do. And that's one of the reasons why, by just choosing a certain amount of cards from different rarities, because it forces me to decide. Right, price wise, what have we got? So the Immortal Sun is our highest price cards currently when this video goes out. So 6 to cast. Players can't activate Planeswalker's loyalty abilities. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and creatures you control get... Okay, yeah, I can see why that might be have a $25 price tag. Let's see how quickly stuff drops off on this set. So $13.90. You can see again something I've pointed out before. Few sets back. Looks like we got some promo cards here as well. Not as many as we've seen before. $12. 11. Pitiless Plunderer. Zakama. 11. So we're just above it still. Oh, Wayward Sawtooth. $10. 9. So it's going down pretty slowly actually. 9. So we're below the $10 threshold here that I like to sort of set. But I'm just going to carry on because it is trickling down really slowly. Sometimes with these more recent sets here, we've seen a massive drop fairly quickly. But these, yeah, seems to be slower as it's going down. Wow. And looking at this as well, a lot of these don't appear to have been reprinted that much in regular sets. So maybe that's part of the reason. Okay, here we go. So what we have here is EDH Rec ranking order. and it is the cards that are not reprints, so the new cards at that time. And top of the pile is Italy. I'm sorry I'm mangling these some of these names. It's a while since I've looked at this set, so yeah, I was mangling them when the set came out and I'm still mangling them now. So those elder dragons fairly high up. The first, well, actually we'll look at this properly in a moment, because I do filter for legendaries. But yeah, interesting. This used to fascinate me because it's similar. You know, there's cards in Magic that do similar things which were popular in EDH. I'm trying to think of the one before Shriekmaw. But Shriekmaw's the one where it's nice because is it Evoke? Am I getting muddled up there? So you can sort of choose to get it to behave just like a spell and just do the destruction and that's it. Or you can choose to pay more, or the regular casting cost, and you get the creature and the effect together. But there's several other creatures in Magic where you just pay the cost of the spell and you get the creature and the effect of destroying a target creature and opponent controls. Yeah, I wish my brain was better at remembering older cards. There is a feature, I think, in I don't see it here. I don't think it's in here. That I remember seeing some sites where it was really handy. You could sort of get it to tell you the cards which were very similar or functional reprints or close. Sometimes the tagger can help with that. Like this. Let's have a quick look. Remove creature, destroy. Yeah, if you haven't used this, it's quite a... Oh, there we go. Shriekmaw. So, yeah, Evoke, that was it. But what's interesting, it destroys target non-artifact, non-black creature. As opposed to Ravenous Gubicatra, where when it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature and opponent controls. So, you know, the difference, there's obviously some differences there in terms of what it can destroy. This one does have fear as well. But you do have this option to just cast it like a spell if you want to. Yeah, this is great. If you've never used this, it's fun to sit around in the tag feature in... I know I've gone off on a side tangent, and I am planning on doing a video, actually, something like interesting budget searches in Scryfall. I'd like to do a series of videos about Scryfall functionality and doing searches in Scryfall. Let me know in the comments section if you're interested in me doing some videos just about using Scryfall for different things, doing interesting searches, how the tags work, I think they're called O tags. Really useful. Anyway, sometimes it's fun to go off on a tangent. Keeps things interesting. So yeah, that's the new cards in terms of their EDH rec ranking. The older cards, yeah, well, surprise, surprise, Evolving Wilds, Negate, Naturalize, Foul Orchard, and then all of these various tap lands. We've got Traveller's Amulet. I was curious how many times Yeah, it's one of these cards where I always think it's been reprinted more times than this, but there's probably, again, this has turned into a Scryfall Tagger episode. Yeah. Yeah, I do keep forgetting about this. This is so handy. Yeah. So rolling wilds negate, neutralise, anything else of interest here? I got plummet. Right, let's see how the two mesh together. This will probably bubble to the top. Oh, what did I do wrong here? Oh yeah, I know what I did wrong. That made you jump, didn't it? Yep. Forgot to select that. Yeah, evolving wilds negate, bubble to the top. Surprise, surprise. And we get Italy, or Itali, Pitiless Plunderer, Chupacabra, Azal, say, yeah, and then the next reprint is much further down. So we got what? Foul Orchard. Yeah, there's Naturalise actually. So yeah, there's a whole chunk of stuff here above, or sandwiched between the reprints. So legendary creatures, Atali, Nazal, Galta, Zatalpa, Alenda, Zakama, Kamina, Azor, and Tetsimokok, I think. Tetsimok. Yeah. So, not much going on in terms of additional products, which some might say was a good thing. So the two decks, Vraska, Angrath, so white, black, blue, red. Vraska the scheming Gorgon, and Angrath Minotaur Pirate. Let's just see what's going on in the deck. So we've got Forsaken Sanctuary in here. So that was interesting because they didn't include that. I'm going to just go in here. So that was in Rivals of Ixalan. But it was part of the booster set already because they were featuring enemy coloured tap lands. So that's why, it's not a Planeswalker specific card. That's why there were 9, as opposed to Angrath, Minotaur Pirate, where this was an allied colour tap land and there weren't allied colour tap lands in the Rivals set. So that's why there's 9 instead of 10, because we were one less land in those Planeswalker deck exclusive cards. What have we got here? Yeah, they keep messing around, don't they, with the exclusive, the additional rares, and I think started playing around with those a little bit. So there was a bit of a variety, I think, in some of these Planeswalker decks in terms of the sort of higher rarity cards you got. But, higher rarity count than the previous intro decks and the theme decks. So let's have a look, quick preview at the Commander Durdle episode, what to expect. So I've kept this fairly simple and I'll go through these cards individually. I wanted to just try and build around a Tali and see where the algorithm takes me. We'll see in the episode. There's a number of different ways you can go here, but I was going to leave it fairly open-ended in terms of the seeding. So it's not like the previous, when we did the dinosaur deck. I know this is another dinosaur deck, but with the previous dinosaur deck, I had like all the dinosaurs from the set. Here, I've deliberately left it open. We haven't got a ton of stuff in here. And we'll see where that takes us. It's going to be interesting. I've included the basic land from the set as well, because we can. It's nice to have a small set where they do additional artwork. So thanks once again for watching. I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.